The day had begun unlike any other. There was no dawn, no sun, no moon. Only an endless twilight stretched across the ruins of eternity. The earth had ceased to breathe. The mountains had fallen into dust. The ocean stood frozen mid-wave, as if terrified by what was coming. Above, the stars had long burned out, leaving the heavens like a scroll rolled up and forgotten. And yet, amid this infinite silence, every soul waited. From the remnants of creation, the people stood in the field of Mahshar, naked, trembling, unarmed, except with their deeds. The sinners and the saints, the oppressors and the oppressed, the prophets and their nations, all gathered in one endless plain where time itself had surrendered. It had been thousands of years, or perhaps more. There was no day or night anymore, only waiting. The judgment had long been declared. The scrolls of deeds were sealed. The gates of paradise had opened for the blessed, shining with light that had no end. And the gates of Jahannam had opened for the wretched, roaring like a beast chained for eternity. Billions had been dragged there. Their screams had shaken the heavens. Their pleas had melted mountains. Yet no mercy came. Among the countless souls who burned in despair, the angels of punishment marched with precision, neither cruel nor kind, only obedient. The guardian of hell, Malik, stood as he had always stood, unmoving, unwavering, unmerciful. His eyes, fierce as lightning, had never shed a tear since the day hell was created. Until that day, because something beyond comprehension was about to happen. Far above the flames of Jahannam, the throne of Allah shone brighter than creation itself. Every angel, from Jibril to Israfil to the carriers of the throne, had fallen in sujud, their wings trembling under the majesty of Al-Rahman. Then from the depths of that divine silence, a voice was heard, a voice that no ear could bear, no soul could ignore. O my angels, today bear witness, the decree of wrath has reached its end. The angels froze, the seven skies shook. Jibril raised his head in awe, his face pale like moonlight. Ya Rab, is the time of judgment renewed? No, came the reply, the time of judgment has passed. Then, what is this command? And Allah said, today I will reveal the secret of my mercy, the mercy that even the fire itself has never known. In Jahannam, flames roared higher, sensing the disturbance. The fire that had devoured nations for endless ages paused, as if listening. Malik looked toward the sky. For the first time in eternity, his heart, made of light and command, began to tremble. One of the angels beside him whispered, "Has the punishment ended?" Malik did not answer. He had never dared to ask such a question. His duty was to guard, not to hope. But deep within the fire, among those countless screams, there were some who still whispered the name of Allah, even when their tongues were burned, even when their eyes had melted away. Ya Allah, even here, you are still our Lord. Ya Rahman, even in the fire, you are still merciful. The angels who heard them used to turn away, because mercy had no permission there. But on this day, and the day Allah Himself had called the day of secret mercy, even the flames grew still to listen. Then it happened. A light, not like any light, appeared above Jahannam. It was not white, nor gold, nor blue. It was the color of forgiveness, something unseen since the beginning of time. The chains that bound the gates of hell began to rattle. The mountains of fire that burned within began to calm, and every soul inside, believer and disbeliever alike, stopped screaming. From above, the voice of Jibril echoed, "O Malik, guardian of the fire, your Lord summons you." Malik bowed his head, his wings of flame folded inward, and for the first time since the dawn of creation, he left his post. As he rose through the 7 levels of Jahannam, the flames beneath him bent low, like servants bowing to their king. When he reached the gate, he turned and saw the endless sea of fire, and for the first time he whispered, "Subhanallah, even wrath obeys him in beauty." Then he rose into the heavens until he stood before the throne. Ever there, he fell to his knees. "Ya Rabbal Alameen," he said, voice shaking. "For countless ages, I have guarded the fire. I have seen your justice. But today, what is this trembling I feel? Is the fire to be destroyed?" Allah replied, "No, O Malik. The fire shall remain, for truth must have its witness. But today, the doors of punishment shall close until I decree otherwise." The angels gasped. Even Israfil, who had blown the trumpet twice, trembled again. "Close," whispered Malik. "Ya Rab, you mean hell shall rest?" And Allah said, "Not rest. Be silenced. For my mercy has spoken." The command spread across existence. The light descended, and for the first time in history, Jahannam went silent. The flames bowed, the screams stopped, even the air of punishment became still. The angels fell in prostration, and Malik, the guardian of the fire, wept. The silence of hell was unlike any silence known before. It was not peace, but the absence of defiance. For the first time since its creation, Jahannam, the fire that had swallowed kings and tyrants, lay still beneath the throne of Allah. Its breath, once like storms, had calmed to a quiet hum, like a child who had exhausted its rage. The angels who guarded its 7 gates stood motionless. Their wings, forged from obedience, trembled in wonder. "By Allah," whispered one of them, "the fire has obeyed." Malik, the chief guardian, remained kneeling before the throne, his eyes wet with tears of molten light. He had seen countless ages of agony, men who cursed their prophets, rulers who drank the blood of their people, liars who mocked the truth, and yet now everything was still. He raised his head and said, "Ya Rab, what becomes of those within? Have they been forgiven?" A light, vast as eternity, filled the heavens. The voice of Allah replied, "O Malik, my mercy is not ignorance of justice. My forgiveness is not forgetfulness of sin. But today the fire itself shall bear witness, and you shall hear what no creation has heard." Then from the depths of Jahannam a sound rose, soft at first, like wind brushing over sand, then deeper, heavier, as though the very bones of the universe began to groan. It was the fire speaking. Every angel turned. Even the dwellers of paradise, wrapped in gardens and rivers, paused their joy, for all of creation could feel it. The fire cried. Its voice was not flame, it was sorrow. "Ya Allah, I am your servant," it said. "You created me to punish, and I have done so. I have burned for your truth, swallowed arrogance, consumed disbelief. But now, my flames are tired, my heart trembles. O Lord of power, am I to continue without end?" The angels bowed their heads. Even Malik lowered his gaze, unable to bear the fire's confession. Then Allah said, "You were made to burn only by my command, O Jahannam, and you shall burn only as long as I command. Today my command has changed." The fire flickered with awe. Then, "Am I forgiven, O my Lord?" And Allah replied, "You were never sinful. You were the hand of my justice. But even justice, when it has fulfilled its purpose, must bow to mercy at that moment." The flames dimmed until only embers remained, glowing faintly like stars sinking into dusk. The 7 gates trembled as Malik turned toward them. Each gate bore a name, written not in ink or light, but in the decree of eternity itself. 1. Jahannam, for the sinners who denied. 2. Laza, for the proud who mocked truth. 3. Al-Hutama, for those who broke hearts in faith. 4. Sire, for those who spread corruption. 5. Sakar, for those who forgot prayer. 6. Al-Jahim, for those who worship their desires. 7. Hawiyah, for the hypocrites whose smiles hid disbelief. Now all 7 shook like doors in a storm, awaiting the next divine word. Allah said, "O Malik, approach the fire, close its gates one by one, and let creation witness the power of my compassion." Malik rose. His wings unfolded, stretching across the horizon. He descended back toward the depths of Jahannam, and as he did, every flame bowed lower. He reached the first gate, Hawiyah, the pit of hypocrisy. He placed his hand upon the seal, and a voice cried from within, Malik. Has the time of punishment ended? Malik replied, It is not I who decides, but the one who commanded it. And the gate closed with a thunderous echo that rippled through the realms. He moved to the second, Al-Jahim, where the tyrants who worship themselves burned for ages. Their voices rose, Malik, will we ever see light again? He said, You have seen the justice of Allah. Now you shall witness his silence. The gate shut, sealing their screams forever. One by one he closed them. Sakar, Sair, Al-Hutama, Laza, and at last, Jahannam itself. Each time a gate shut, a new sound filled the cosmos. Not the sound of fire, but the sound of peace. And then, there was nothing. No flame, no cry. Only a vast darkness beneath the throne of Allah, resting, silent, and complete. Malik stood alone in that silence, trembling. His heart, made of divine fire, glowed faintly in awe. Then from behind him a light appeared, and Jibril descended, his wings stretching across the horizon of eternity. "O Malik," said Jibril, "what you have witnessed today will never be repeated." "Why, O Spirit of Allah?" Malik asked. "Because today the fire has learned what the living never understood, that even punishment was born from mercy." Malik looked up at the heavens, tears falling like sparks. "Subhanallah, every decree ends in your compassion." And the angels across all creation echoed his words. "Subhanaka ya Rahman, even hell glorifies you." Then Allah spoke again. "Today the gates of hell are sealed, and from them shall rise not fire, but remembrance. For every flame that once punished shall now bear witness that I am the most merciful of those who show mercy." At that command, a wind, cool and scented like the gardens of Jannah, blew through the chambers of hell. And where there was once torment, there was now calm. Every spark turned into light, every echo became dhikr, and the fire, humbled, whispered one final time, "La ilaha illa anta, ya Rahman, ya Rahim." The fire was silent. The gates were sealed, but somewhere, deep within its cooled embers, something still stirred. Not screams, not flames, something softer, like a heartbeat that refused to die. The angels now stationed above the closed gates listened. For the first time, they heard not agony, but whispers, faint, fragile, yet filled with remembrance. La ilaha illa Allah. It came from beneath the ashes, voices so weak they could barely exist, but the words still carried the weight of faith. Malik turned toward the throne and said, "Ya Rab, the gates are closed, the fire is silent, yet your servants still call your name." And Allah replied, "O Malik, what you hear are the remnants of those whose hearts once held my remembrance, even for a breath, even for a heartbeat. Before they turned away, their faith was hidden beneath mountains of sin, but my mercy reaches what no mountain can hide." The angels trembled in awe. Then Allah called out, "O Jibril, O Israfil, O Mikael, go forth, descend into the remnants of the fire, and search for the ashes that still remember me." The heavens shook as the three greatest angels bowed in obedience. Jibril, the spirit of revelation, spread his wings, wings that had once carried the Quran to the prophet. Israfil, the keeper of the trumpet, whose breath had shattered the universe, now descended with silence. Mikael, the giver of sustenance, brought with him a fragrance of rain and life. They descended together into the hollowed chambers of Jahannam, no longer burning, but dim, like the memory of a storm that had passed. As they entered, the fire whispered in reverence, "Welcome, servants of the Most Merciful. My flames bow to you." Jibril raised his hand. Light spread across the ground of ash. Beneath it, he saw shapes, souls curled like shadows, covered in the dust of ages. Their faces were pale, their eyes closed, but upon their lips was a single trace of remembrance. La ilaha illa Allah. Jibril's voice shook. Ya Malik. Some of these have been here since the first dawn of man. They never stopped whispering his name. Malik closed his eyes and replied, "Then they are not forgotten." Israfil looked upward, his trumpet resting upon his chest. "Ya Rab," he said softly, "shall I call them?" And Allah said, "Call not with your trumpet, O Israfil, for this is not the call of resurrection. Call with my name, for today I call them to my forgiveness." Israfil raised his voice and recited, "Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim." At that moment, the ashes moved. Every particle of dust began to tremble. From the depths of the silent fire, figures began to rise, slow at first, then swiftly, like seeds sprouting after rain. They rose not as bodies, but as lights, tiny sparks of remembrance, glowing with what little faith they had left. The angels gathered them carefully, one by one, like shepherds rescuing lost lambs. Jibril cupped them in his hands, and his tears fell upon them like pearls of mercy. "Ya Rab," he said, "these are the ones who remembered you in secret, who wept in the night, who believed even as they sinned. Shall we bring them forth?" And Allah said, "Bring them to the river of life, and wash them with my forgiveness." The angels carried those souls beyond the sealed gates, past the veils of shadow, until they reached a valley shining with a light unlike any creation, the river of life. It was not water, it was mercy, pure and living, flowing from beneath the throne of Allah. When the souls touched it, the ashes melted away. Their faces became radiant, their eyes opened, and they looked around in bewildered awe. "Where are we?" they whispered. "You are in the mercy of the one you never stop calling," replied Jibril. They fell to the ground, weeping. "But we were among those who failed. We lied, we stole, we turned away." And Jibril said, smiling through his tears, "Yet you never stopped believing. You called his name, and that name has answered you." From above, Allah spoke, "O my servants who were forgotten by the world, today you are remembered by your Lord. You tasted justice, now taste mercy. You knew fear, now know peace. Enter my gardens, not by your deeds, but by my forgiveness." At that command, the gates of paradise opened once more, this time not for the prophets or the righteous, but for the redeemed. As they entered, the dwellers of Jannah watched in amazement. "Who are these?" they asked. "These," said the angels, "are the ones who were saved from the ashes of hell by the last breath of faith." And the people of Jannah cried out together, "Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen." Meanwhile, Malik remained at the threshold of the fire. He looked back once more at the now dark abyss and whispered, "All that remains now is silence and obedience." And Allah said, "Indeed, O Malik, for even silence glorifies me." The heavens trembled with that truth. Every angel bowed, every gate remained closed, and from that moment, the fire of Jahannam, once roaring with wrath, became a place of remembrance, where every echo proclaimed, "There is no God but Allah, the most merciful, the most forgiving. The throne of mercy unveiled. Beyond the quiet gates of the fire, the universe itself seemed to breathe again. Every realm, earth, sky, and the unseen was bathed in a radiance that had no source yet filled all directions at once. It was not the light of sun or star. It was the light of mercy, unveiled. The angels gathered beneath the throne, wings folded, faces lowered. Their voices rose in a chorus that trembled through creation. Glory to the one whose justice was perfect and whose mercy has no end. From that chorus, hope spread outward like dawn. The souls who had been lifted from the ashes now stood beside rivers that shimmered like memory. They looked upon the horizon of paradise, not yet stepping within, but seeing it. As a traveler glimpses home after endless night, there was no fear left in them, only gratitude too vast for words. Jibril turned to Malik, the once sole guardian of punishment. The firelight that had burned in his eyes was gone, replaced by calm. "You have watched every sorrow," Jibril said. "What do you see now?" Malik gazed across the silent valley where hell once roared. "I see the reason for its silence," he replied. "Mercy was not the end of punishment. It was its purpose." And he bowed, his wings touching the ground that was no longer hot, but cool as peace. Above them, the throne shone brighter still. The angels who bore it called out together, "O Lord of beginnings and endings, all creation has witnessed your compassion. Nothing remains unspoken but praise." Then a wind passed through all worlds. It carried no words, yet every heart understood. Forgiveness had outlasted fire. The redeemed souls entered the gardens. The rivers of life welcomed them, and every step they took left behind a trail of light, proof that even from ashes, faith can bloom. But the heavens closed softly, like a book returned to its shelf. Stars rekindled, mountains rose again, seas began to hum their endless rhythm. Creation did not end, it was renewed. In that renewal, every being knew one truth: mercy is the final word. The eternal whisper. When all had settled, Malik remained alone at the boundary between the worlds. He looked once more upon the gates he had sealed and spoke in a low voice that only the angels could hear. Justice guarded the path. Mercy finished the journey. And now, silence praises him. A single tear of light fell from his eye, striking the ground and becoming a star. That star still glows in the night of eternity, a reminder that even the darkest flame once learned to shine. And so ends the story of the day the gates of hell were closed, not by rebellion, but by mercy. The fire obeyed, the angels wept, and creation learned that every judgment is a road back to compassion. Remember it, traveler of this world, when you fall, when you burn, when you despair. Even then the light watches, for the one who wrote justice also wrote mercy, and he has never forgotten you.